You're watching SoundTree TV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the debut of KORG SoundTree Academy and our very first live stream of Wednesdays with Wayne. I'm Ken Green, one of the education technology specialists with KORG and SoundTree. I'm delighted to be here with our wonderful host, Mr. Wayne Spletstozer, who's an amazing music educator at Torrington High School in Connecticut, who will be hosting several of these live stream events on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, and I will show you all here what some of these upcoming events will be. We do have a few scheduled already through November or into November, and Wayne will be hosting all of these scheduled events. You can register to join us on any of these live streams by visiting our Academy page and clicking on the links here. Fill out the form, very simple form. You can join us on the live stream. And if you can't join us, but you'd like to submit a question on one of the topics, go ahead and submit a question. We'll get it ahead of time and we will do our best to answer it on the show. I do want to acknowledge Mr. Randall Swigum, who's joining us from Madison Metro School District. Randall has a question for Wayne that we will answer at the end of Wayne's presentation. So without further ado, please take it away, Wayne Spletstozer.
Well, thank you, Ken. My name is Wayne Spletstozer. I teach at Torrington High School in Torrington, Connecticut. I've been teaching high school for 31 years. 29 of them have been here at Torrington High School. I've taught music technology since I started teaching here in 1996. My job, so you know, is I'm the band director. I also do orchestra and music tech. So I have a full day. These series of podcasts basically came out as I keep getting people come my website asking, I need help. You know, I have to teach this class and I don't know what to do. So I've known Walt for a long time, known Ken for a long time, and we've kind of toyed with this idea of we need to put this out there because there is a great need for teachers that need help. I talked to a teacher last week and she said, my administration says I have to teach this class. They gave me a week notice and with no resources. What do I do? So this whole series came out of that concept of help. We need help. Tonight, we're going to talk about podcasting. And podcasting, I started it organically in 2020 with COVID. So Ken, can you put up my presentation there? Ooh, look at that. Thank you. So my email address is here and my website, thsmusic.net. That is our Torrington High School music department site. If you want to follow our music tech classes, there is a Music Tech 1 tab, and you can follow all the assignments and as we go through our class. If you have any questions anytime on what I'm doing in the class, there's a form on the website, fill out. I will get back to you as fast as I can, and I'll help you out with whatever needs you have. So again, a little bit about me, 31 years, 29 in Torrington. And this session is going to talk about podcasting. What is a podcast? Why should we use podcasting in schools? What I found out about podcasting organically through this whole thing, different lessons I'm using podcasting, and how podcasting has helped kids in various ways, some that I kind of expected and others I did not expect at all. So if anybody's here live on the chat, feel free to add any questions as we go through this. So why did I start podcasting? I started podcasting during remote learning because let's face it, none of us knew what we were doing at the time doing remote. So started reading about podcasting. I always loved podcasting. I'm a diehard New England Patriots fan. I listen to my beloved New England Patriots podcast every week. So started learning about different podcasts. I said, hey, kids, let's make some podcasts. So we started a little bit of it. And basically they say, what's a podcast? So back then, podcasting was kind of out there, but not as prevalent and relevant as it is today. So for those of you that don't know what a podcast is a radio show. that can be downloaded and listened to your device at any time you want. You do not have to listen live. Why it's called a podcast, because when the iPod first came out is when podcasting started to be invented and started to be created. So people can download these, quote, radio shows to their iPod, hence the term podcast. So that's how that all came about. So why should we be using podcasting in schools? Here are the 4 main reasons that I think we should be using podcasting. Number 1, they are relevant. As teachers, we need to reach students any way we can using whatever means that we have available to us. Podcasting today is relevant. We can reach those kids. Number 2, they're extremely simple to make. All you need is a laptop. Most of us are one-to-one now. Some of you probably do have full labs. Some of you probably have nothing at all. They're extremely easy to make. I'm going to talk about how to make it with zero money on up to if you have a budget to put stuff into a lab. Number 3, they can be wide-ranging. Podcasts can basically be anything you want them to be. And I'm going to stress that component of it. Podcasting can be what you need it to be. It doesn't have to be just one thing. I'm going to talk about how it has exploded in my school. And I have various disciplines all across my school doing podcasting. And the last thing is interdisciplinary. We're going to talk about that to the point last year where I had English classes coming down doing parts of their final exams as podcasts. So podcasting, it is relevant to today. Roughly 25 to 30% of internet users know what a podcast is. The average podcast listener listens to 7 or 8 hours of podcasting a week. It is the highest form of media in terms of anything else. Podcasting is growing and it is huge. Why should educators use it? Because it's great for storytelling. It's great for outreaching. But the most important thing is it's great to engage our students. And the last thing on the slide is podcasts are no longer the big thing. They're it. They're now. They're what is here now. So it's not, oh, podcasting's cool. We should do it in about another year or 2. No, it's here now. So with podcasting being relevant, studies show that 10 to 15 students do 10 to 15% better on comprehensive assessments. And I think the higher thing, report higher engagement that use podcasts. Teachers can use podcasts for anything, any discipline, any subject, anything in their classrooms. It doesn't have to just be the music classrooms that can do podcasting. I always get the question when I do sessions, okay, but what is podcast teaching them? Well, why should I do it? What is it teaching them? Digital literacy. It helps them with that. It helps them with speaking skills, critical listening skills, 21st century skills, all those things we hear about in the STEM classes and everything else. Podcasting can reach them as well. So it's relevant to today, and it can engage the kids in ways that other things just cannot engage the kids. And the last thing I want to stress in this slide is podcasting can be anything you want or need it to be. So let's talk about how easy they are to make. Most of us right now, mostly teaching high school and middle school, we have one-to-one labs. There are some elementary schools that are one-to-one. One-to-one means they have a district-issued laptop that the kids use all day long. What I'm seeing when teachers talk to me and everything is the traditional labs of we have to have big desktop computers and everything. That's starting to go away because of the one-to-one aspect of things. We just had a new lab put in. SoundTree did all that for us, and I didn't put in the budget for any computers at all because my thought was, why should I have computers in there? Then I'm responsible to keep them up and put them in my budget when the kids are walking around with district-owned computers, and the district is responsible for upkeep and maintenance of all that for the computers. So A, it was a budget-saving issue not to put in computers. B, kids are so used to using their laptops, I've found they don't want to use anything else. They want to use their laptops. So the laptop aspect, the one-to-one aspect does make it much easier now for you to make podcasts. Some schools are tablet-based, some schools are computer-based, some schools can still use phones. I cannot use phones in our school due to a policy that we have, but you can make podcasts on any device you have as long as there is Wi-Fi access. Microphones, this is one of the biggest questions I get. What microphones do I need? Do I need microphones? The answer is, do you need them? No. External microphones I'm talking about right now. You can use the microphones in the computers if you have no budget and there's no way to get any microphones. You can use them. Are they the best? No, they are what they are. And especially Chromebooks. Our school uses Chromebooks, and some of those microphones, they are what they are. If you have the means to get some external microphones, USB microphones are the easiest thing to get. A wide range in cost of USB microphones. There's all kinds of brands. You have Shores, you have Yetis, you have Snowballs, you have Samsons. You have a wide range to choose from for USB microphones. Just plug them right in the kid's laptop or your laptop. If you're using MacBooks of any kind, you do got to keep in mind most microphones are the USB. You have to get adapters from USB to USB-C to plug them into your Mac laptops and Mac devices. And then you can have other things. You can have what are called Vocasters. You can have Evos. These are devices that you can plug multiple microphones in so the kids can interview each other. And all of this will go into your laptops. So DAWs or software, this can be wide ranging. You can use any DAW that you have available to you. GarageBand, Logic, Pro Tools, Audacity, whatever you use. I am a huge proponent of Soundtrap. And the main reason is one-to-one Chromebooks, you really can't use anything else. Soundtrap being cloud-based, being easy to use, makes it very easy for kids to do it on their laptops, tablets, even on their phones, they can do it. So podcasts are extremely easy to make. Now, everybody asks, well, what can the kids do? What should I do with a podcast? And this is where it really can be anything you need it to be. Here are some examples of things that I've done and I've seen other schools done. Some of the lessons up here, playlist podcast. Basically, I said, give me your top 10 favorite songs. Tell me why you like them. So they have to do like a little script. Okay. Hey, my number 10 favorite song is blah, 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 blah. Then they drop a 30-second clip of that song. And then afterwards, they talk about why they like that song. And then they just go 9, 8, all the way up. It's a very simple concept. But the way they talk about their songs is where the magic is. And I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes, but podcasting can open doors for kids that no other thing can do. Some other examples on here, social issues. I do an assignment where I said you can do basically anything you want as long as it's related to high school and high school topics, high school related. A lot of kids today are talking about social issues, mental health issues. And all of this they're doing, they have to research and put things in. They can interview people. It's amazing what kids can do when you give them a little freeway to do different things. And they'll say, do this, do this, do this. Say, give me a 10-minute podcast. Go. School sports clubs, that's easy. Everyone has sports and clubs at their school. Podcasts don't have to be long either. You can do a 5-minute podcast. Say, hey, we're going to talk about the football team. The football team has a big game coming up. So we're going to interview coach and a couple captains. What do you think about this week's game? How's the season going overall? Something simple like that. There are tons of kids involved in sports and clubs in your school. That's a great way to start getting your entire school involved in podcasting. And then it shows what podcasting is and what it can do. We were doing a principal podcast once a month or every couple of weeks. We just do a quick 5 to 10 minute podcast with our principal. What would you like to talk about? What things are going on? What events are going on? It was a quick way for the principal to get their messages out, and we could upload them to Google Classroom. Interview a family member. This is one we do in our class. And this one got really funny at one point. There was a girl who goes, I'm going to interview my mom. I said, okay. So we talked about what things to ask their parents. So I said, well, ask them what it was like to be in school. What was it like to be in school? So she's interviewing her mom, and her mom starts telling her stories of when she was in high school. And as mom's telling these stories, the child's getting very embarrassed, as you can probably figure out where the stories were leading. So she comes back the next day. She goes, oh, Mr. S, I think I'm going to fail this. I'm like, why are you going to fail this? And so I listened to it. I said, you got an A to sit through that. But it got the kid to talk to their mother in this case. And they had a great conversation. And afterwards, she goes, that was really cool to talk to my mom that way. You know, my mom and I talk, but really don't talk about that. And it was kind of interesting to see what she was like in high school and other things. So there's other things that come out of podcasting. And then there's always music history, anything. I'm a big believer in let the kids be creative and explore. And when it comes to podcasting. So here are some other interdisciplinary opportunities, and these are endless. Use your creative minds to come up with things. This one was from a school in the Midwest called the Walking Classroom, and I thought this was absolutely fascinating. The school, it was a private school, I think. They had to do X amount of, quote, laps around their track every day. So what the teachers were doing is they were either recording their classes or recording lessons or recommending certain podcasts. So the kids would go, they would use their phones, they would take their phones, put their headphones on, walk around the track X amount of times, whatever they had to do, but they had to listen to a podcast that the teacher recommended. And they called it the Walking Classroom. Great idea. Thought it was absolutely fascinating. Chemistry lab. I had a student do a chemistry lab podcast a couple years ago because I said, okay, you can pick the topic as long as you do, my criteria. So he goes, Mr. S, can I do a chemistry lab? I said, look, I am not going to understand anything you're talking about. So have fun, go to town. And it actually was really cool. He had a great intro, outro, had different things about chemistry in it. The teacher found it so informative and entertaining the way the kid did it that other students started to do chemistry labs podcasts and not all the written forms. Audio history, that's just a great thing to do. You can have them do, a certain like music history classes or popular music classes. They can talk about music of the 60s, 70s, 80s, however you want to create it. We do an audio history about retired teachers. So we go interview the teachers that are retiring that year. And the kids come up with a list of questions, research, a little history, tell us what it was like when you first started teaching and how is teaching now? How has it changed? What was your career? What did you do? And again, it gets the kids learning a lot more about their teachers that they never learned before. Book chat, this was recommended by one of our English teachers. Kids just talked about the book. They talked about the characters. And then they're actually doing characters in the character voices. So it was really interesting to see that. And then Macbeth report, this was a freshman English class. They came down and basically talked about Macbeth, and they had different parts that they had to talk about. But they made a podcast instead of doing like a class presentation. So podcasting can be anything you want it to be. So here are some things I found out with podcasting. And none of this I went into say, I want to give kids a safe space, so I'm going to do podcasting. All of this came out truly organically as we started this. So the first thing, and I think the most important thing I found out is it gives kids a safe space. When we started doing the first assignment for podcasting, I call it the 1 minute podcast. Tell me something podcast. Tell me something. Tell me something about yourself. Tell me something about your favorite video game. Tell me about your movie. Tell me about your dog. Just tell me something. So, and this was during COVID, the first time I did this. So usually they come rolling and I had 1 minute. Okay. Hey, Mr. S, I had pizza last night. It was great. Mr. S, I watched this great movie. So talk about that. Then I got one and the file was 15 minutes long. And I'm thinking, he just forgot to hit stop. So he starts talking and he's talking about, I'm trying to be a good kid, but I just, my parents aren't listening to me. And I just want to be heard. And I just need to talk without someone yelling at me. And he goes, I know you're listening to this. And he just vented for a good 10, 15 minutes about what his life was at that time. And I was like, whoa, this was an interesting thing. Get a couple more assignments. They were basically the same. Then I got this other assignment from a girl. Her parents were going through a divorce. And she starts talking about, I have to go to my mom's on this day, and then my dad's, and I'm getting pulled between them. And, I'm trying to keep it together, but they don't realize what I'm going through. Podcasting gives them a safe space. It gives them a place to be heard and talk about their feelings if they feel no one else talks to them or listens to them. To the point with that topic that for Soundtrap, we buy seats. And I give seats and I give a microphone setup to our guidance counselors. So they have it available to them if podcasting is a vehicle for kids to talk about their feelings in a setting by themselves, not with anybody else. The next thing is it makes them feel important. I have a freshman a couple years ago. She was so excited to do podcasting, and she was really, really good at it. She was the type of kid who said nothing in class. I mean, maybe a couple words to me. So she came and do a podcast, Mr. S, I need to record at home. I cannot record in class. And that's an option. I give them that because not many kids want to talk in the classroom. And at the time, we didn't have any other place to go except the hallway. So she goes, I'm recorded at home. So records at home. And I listened to it, 2 days later, she comes back to class and she was amazing. She was called the Pop Culture Podcast. Welcome to the Pop Culture Podcast. And I'm going to talk about everything. And she was engaging. She was enlightening. She was entertaining. It was amazing to see her do that based on the version of her that I saw in class. So she comes down, she goes, I played it for my history teacher. I said, yeah, what'd your history teacher say about it? She said I was really good at it. My teacher said I was really good at something. I said, well, you are really good at this. She goes, yeah, I am good at this. And it was something just as simple as that. In my class, she took off after that because she realized she was good at it and she made her feel important. But even her other teachers are noticing she's got a little more confidence in what she's doing. So that's something that came out of it. The next thing that I never expected was it helped my special needs kids. I have special needs kids in my music tech class from time to time. And there was this one student and he had a hard time speaking. So when it came to this assignment, he had a para with him. And I said, look, if he can do 30 seconds, if he can just, whatever he can do, just, let's just try. So he was trying to talk and he talked really fast. We said, you have to slow down when you talk. And then he was, a couple days later, I heard the para go to him, why don't you use your podcast voice? Slow this down, make it like your podcast voice. So that stuck in his head and he immediately started to slow his speech down. We could understand him. And the podcast was actually very good. So the para is a para who travels with him all day long. In his other classes, she would say the same thing if he would like talking really fast or teachers couldn't hear him because use your podcast voice for Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so. I get an email from the para going, you got to hear this in his other classes. We just say, use your podcast voice. And instantly his teachers were understanding him. He was communicating better in class. And all of a sudden his grades were starting to go up because he was starting to understand things and doing the work better because he felt that the teachers could hear him. So something organic as slow down and use your podcast voice, help that child out. So improves communication. We all know that kids today, all they want to do is talk between two thumbs, and they really don't have communications with each other. They don't talk to each other anymore. It's all just texting and everything else. Well, now with this, they have to communicate. They have to research. They have to, what is their topic? Okay, we're going to put it in a script, put it in an order, and then they have to interview 1, 2, or 3 people. Some kids I find are fantastic at this. They just didn't realize they were. There are some kids that will struggle with this at first. But I have found in my classes and in talking to a lot of other school districts with this, most kids will do fine with podcasting once they get over the fear of the microphone, which is another big thing if you're doing this. They go to the microphone, they go, yeah, hi, is this thing on? And they're like afraid of the microphone. Once they forget it's there and start talking, their communication skills actually improve. Another thing I always get is, okay, what is it teaching these kids except talking? So pathway to music industry, if you're a high school teacher, the big thing in high schools across the country is pathways. We're always finding pathways into college, pathways into an industry, pathways into a job and career. And we always hear STEM, we always hear science, technology, and all that. And I go, well, wait a minute. This is a pathway too. So here are the skills that they learn in doing podcasting: mixing, They got to mix this after the end. They got to do interview skills. That's the big thing. Communication skills. I have my kids go out and they interview business leaders in town. So they have to interview research the business, talk to them. Okay, we're going to meet ahead of time and we're going to talk about this, this, and this, and they make a plan. So it's communicating. Technology skills, right? How to set up a microphone, how to use the computer. For some kids, just basic recording is a huge deal for them. And then in turn, they're learning some really basic audio engineering type skills. So they can learn a lot of different things with podcasting besides, click, talk, and maybe play a song. It's all the other stuff that they learn. And again, what I have found in my classes and in my time is these kids love doing this, and it helps them in ways that they don't even realize yet with the podcasting. So how I teach podcasting, I teach it, we talk about the parts of what a podcast is. Before we start, we kind of listen to some examples in classes. Okay, there's always an intro. And the intro is the first thing they hear. It's, 10, 15 seconds tops. And it's always, hey, everybody, welcome to my podcast. Today, we're going to talk about blah, blah, blah. I said, we talk about that. That has to be engaging. You can't be going, hi, welcome to my podcast. I'm going to talk. No one's going to hear it. They're going to swipe and keep going. So we talk about how you have to hook them in the first 10, 15 seconds. If you're engaging, they'll want to listen to you more. Kind of like Ken and I were before, when none of you guys heard about. Then there's the body. And that's the main part of the podcast. And we talk about the various things that they can do. Solo podcast. If kids have the gift of gab, and let's face it, some of them have the gift of gab. Podcasting for some of them is the best thing in the world because they can talk. And I've had some kids who can basically do a whole podcast by themselves. Then we talk about having someone else and having like an interview type thing. We talk about a panel, having 4 or 5 people. How do you do that? And then the last part of the podcast is the outro. And it's as simple as, thank you for listening to today's podcast. Don't forget to tune in next time when we talk about blah, blah, blah. And we talk about this very simple concept of the 3 basic parts of it. Then they have to go listen to a podcast. And I have a Google form that they use. And basically, they have to talk about the structure of the podcast, not the content, but how are they talking about it? Do they have interviews? Are they using audio drops? How is it? Is it engaging? Is it not engaging? And one of the last questions on the assignment is, did you like it? And if you were to do this, what would you change? And I tell them, you have to think differently now. You have to think like a content creator. And once you put the term content creator out there, they go, I'm a content creator now. Mr. S, I'm going to create content. So they gravitate to that and they go. So we talked about microphones a little bit. Here are some other things. Here's a SoundTree example. You have the Evo system there. You can plug things in and you can have a couple kids interview. And then you have headphones. Please make sure you have headphones. If you're designing a lab, even if you have a one-to-one, make sure they have headphones. I was working with a school down south online and they had no headphones, no budget for headphones. She goes, it was terrible. It was just everything out in the open. So again, whatever your budget allows is what you do. You can do it with a 0 budget. You can do it with tens of thousands of dollars. So this is a video. These are some intros to various podcast assignments my kids have done over the past couple of years. This just gives you an example of what type of things they're doing and how they're putting it together.
Good morning, world, and all who inhabit it. I'm Joseph, and today I'm going to be looking at the first quarter of the SpongeBob musical.
And I welcome you back to another episode of the Politicast channel. Today, we start a series on a problem that plagues America and affects people of all political stripes: gun violence.
Welcome, Raiders. Welcome back to another podcast, and today we have 2 special guests from Redwood Sound Studio. Hello, Raiders. Today we are back with another podcast. Today is called What Are We Doing? With a special guest.
Hi, my name is Ali Dubois. I'm your host for tonight's podcast, recorded live at the 8th Annual Litchfield County Celebration at the Fairview County Club in Harwinton, Connecticut. This podcast will be available on Apple Podcasts soon. Check out www.thsmusic.net for the announcement.
Welcome to my podcast. My name's Sonia, and today we're going to be talking about my 5 songs in my playlist and why I like them and the artist.
Yo, it's your boy David here with your boy
Austin. What's good? Today we're going to be talking about school and how we think it's outdated and it can use a lot of improvements.
Facts.
Hello, my name is Samra Babik. Thank you for tuning in to my podcast. Today we're going to be talking about mental health in schools and its impact on students, especially during this decade.
That was a bunch of intros to various topics. One of them was a kid did a SpongeBob the musical because our theater was doing the SpongeBob musical. So he did a whole podcast on the musical because he was in it. It was probably one of the most brilliant podcasts I've ever had a student make. He was so engaging into it. He put drops of the musical in it. He talked about different characters, the story, everything. It was absolutely amazing. It was almost a 45-minute podcast when he was done. And he goes, I just couldn't stop working on it because it was so much fun. Then there were some other examples where we had people come into the school and we basically interviewed them. So I had a student, we had a recording studio in town called Red Room Sound Studios. And the kids talked to them ahead of time, came up with a script, came up with some basic questions, and basically just interviewed them. We have local reporters come in. And they interview them about, what's your job like? How is it, in the media, and the kids record them. And it's fantastic to have them do things in the community. What this does organically, it starts to build, wow, the high school is making podcasts. Hey, these kids are making podcasts. And then there were some other examples of other disciplines using podcasting. So podcasting can quickly spread through your school. And before you know it, you have most of the school being involved in podcasting. Now, that also helps in a lot of other ways. That helps for exposure for your classes, which means more students will want to sign up for your classes, which means hopefully that will help if you're a part-time teacher and you're trying to get up to full-time FTE. That I've seen that work in some districts. Also, more sections. I was working with a school where they had so many sections of music tech, they had to hire another teacher. So that helps to grow. Also, it helps with other teachers starting to implement not just podcasting, but other things in music. They go, hey, that podcasting was great. So what else can the music class do in my class? So to kind of sum up everything, why should we be using podcasting in the classroom? It's relevant, easy to make, wide-ranging, and it can be interdisciplinary, and it can be anything that you need it to be for your students and your classroom. And that's what I had for today. My email address, my website's up there. I also do PD sessions for districts. And if you're an individual educator, I also do some free Zoom sessions. If you just want to talk about your classroom, how can I help you with curriculum items, how to start, etc. These sessions will also be a valuable tool as we move forward with the Wednesdays with Wayne. We'll be talking about various things. And if you have topics that you want us to explore, feel free to contact us and we'll help you out with that as well. So thank you for that. I'm done with my presentation.
Wayne.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that made it all worth it.
Thank you. Sincerely, that was a terrific session. The word podcast is thrown around a lot, but to really provide a rich understanding for everyone about its applications in the classroom and school-wide, I think you nailed it. I think a lot of people who are watching now and will review this on our YouTube channel or Facebook or wherever they catch it, I think are going to be pleasantly surprised of the seemingly endless possibilities for introducing a podcast program in their classroom, in their program.
That's the thing. The possibilities are endless. And I think some teachers are afraid because it's out of their comfort zone. They can do composing, they can do maybe a little remixing, and they can do the other curriculum items. But now you're throwing this at them, and some teachers are like, whoa. I don't. And every teacher that I work with or districts I work, I say, I'm telling you, just try it. I said, the kids will love it. And then you can start teaching them a wide range of stuff that you didn't think you could, because you're using the podcast as the ultimate vehicle. It's the ultimate implementation tool. Yeah.
I was going to ask you if my guess, and I did a little bit, I taught for 20-some, for those of you wondering who didn't ask, I taught for 20 plus years, 21 years prior to coming on board with SoundTree a year ago, and have some experience doing some podcasting in my classroom with my students. And, you know, Wayne's taking it to a much higher level, but I can attest to the fact that once students are given that opportunity to express themselves, to be creative, to tell their stories, it's a hit. And I was going to suggest that, or ask you all, I guess, that once the teacher just starts it, just gets the ball rolling with the basic equipment, and lets the child or the children in the classroom just have at it.
Let them go.
And the success will follow. So the connection to the curriculum, the standards, again, that just seems easy and endless as far as the potential or the possibilities for that type of connection. But it's that the social and emotional learning components that when you were sharing those experiences about what you learned, you know, the safe spaces that this type of work provides. Man, that's the stuff. And I think for some teachers who may be in need of a little infusion of energy or, you know, renewed enthusiasm, this is just the thing, man. It's really, you did a terrific job, I think, bringing that to light.
What I tell teachers is, you know, it's a great vehicle. I said, but don't be surprised if you have kids using that as therapy, just a way to talk. I said, it may just happen organically. They just may be talking and all of a sudden out it comes. You know, and every kid is different. Every situation is different. But, you know, again, it's, I think it's the ultimate vehicle to implement a wide range of topics, items, skills, but it's relevant to today. I ask kids, okay, who listens to podcasts? And like, all the hands go up. You know, I listen to sports, I listen to movies, I listen to the wide range. For teenagers, for us high school directors, do you know the number one genre that high school kids are listening to for podcasts? You want to take a guess?
Small engine repair.
Close. That made the top 1,000. But the number one genre that kids are always listening to is conspiracy and crime stories. Every class, like, oh, I'm so addicted. So I have kids doing, you know, podcast on like the Netflix series they're watching, but it's always about conspiracy, and they love it. And I didn't think that. I was thinking, you know, music, sports, you know, all that, and they're like, oh, I'm stressed. No, man, no, I gotta listen to all that stuff. It's great.
I thought my Bigfoot podcasts were interesting. I guess I got to go listen. Like Keith Morrison, I had one, so I guess, you know, the Dateline. I
got a funny story with that. I had a kid who, I guess, his parents watched Dateline a lot. Yeah. So he's going, oh, I'm stressed. Oh, can I kind of do this podcast in like a different voice? Yeah, sure, go ahead. I had no clue where he was going. And all of a sudden I see him getting really close, and he's going, well, the story starts, and he starts to, I was cracking up. I had to leave the room. Yeah. I was in tears. The other kids didn't really know what he was doing. I'm like, dude, bravo. That's good for you, man.
Yeah. Whew. What a reference for a young person to pull out some Keith Morrison. See, without the opportunity, Wayne, where else is he going to do? In science class?
Exactly.
I doubt it.
One topic which I didn't touch, but I know I always get questions of is, do I put my students' podcasts like out online for the public? And the answer is no, but hopefully soon. It's a legal question that we're working on. There was a story, not in my district, but the other side of the country, where class put their podcast up online, and the parent who was divorced found that, and the child's name was in the podcast, and then they found where the child was kind of going to school and everything. So
Yeah.
There are some issues, although I know a lot of people do use Spotify channels and Apple Music and all that. But yeah, we don't right now, but that's something we're working on as a district.
Good to know. That's good information. Sure, always a concern, especially plenty of reason to be careful and mindful of those things. So I want to go back to Randall. Randall Swigum, he's our guest teacher today. He's in the chat from Madison Metro School District in Wisconsin. Randall, thank you for joining us. And we've been going back and forth a little bit in the chat. And in fact, well, two things. I wanted to make sure that your questions were answered. I know the question you submitted was related to connection to the standards. So if we do a podcast, what are the students going to learn? Were your questions answered? Or is there anything else you'd like Wayne to? Oh, perfect. Okay. Randall says yes. Good to hear. As Wayne was going through the presentation, I was thinking that he's covering it. He's going above and beyond, but that's great to hear. Randall shared in the chat, NPR just did a It's Been a Minute podcast. The title of the podcast, It's Been a Minute, on youth podcasting and how it's exploded. And there's a link here that he shared. So thank you so much. That's a terrific lead, a great link. And I think what we'll do, in fact, what we definitely will do is take any relevant content. Wayne, if you want to share the deck, if there are any links you want to include at the end of, well, once we stop here, everything, I'll go ahead and add this back up there. This is our Academy channel on our KORG SoundTree website, which is just soundtree.com. But all of the live streams that we present they're streaming live simultaneously on our YouTube channel, which is KORG SoundTree TV, and also on our Facebook page. So all of the videos, the recordings will be archived here on the YouTube channel. So you can reference them as often as you like, watch them. You know how YouTube works. So they'll all be kept here. But in the details, I assume everyone knows. In the details of each video, we'll include all this additional content, the NPR link to the It's Been a Minute podcast that Randall shared with us, and all this wonderful information that we have from Wayne. And we'll continue to do that as we add to the schedule, which let me share with you. Yes, you can see it. So, man,
well, I think it's good that we may be in competition with Netflix for most binged series. I think when we're done with this, I mean,
I'm looking at the list here, man. Can you imagine? I'm thinking the 22nd is going to be where we see a spike in attendance or participation. Would you feel that way about the topic?
Yeah, I mean, that's
I don't know what to do.
Most questions and most teachers that ask for help, that's exactly what they're asking. Help, I have to teach this, and I don't know what to do. Districts don't give a lot of resources for this because for some districts, this is all brand new. There are still a lot of schools that don't do music tech, and music technology is the general music of today in terms of high school, middle school.
Yeah. Students can do, they're capable of amazing things when given the opportunity. And I think you're just from this one presentation, I think you demonstrated that beautifully. I guess we can wrap it up. We took care of a few housekeeping things. A reminder on the Academy page here, the schedule for upcoming events. You can register for any of them now. You can always catch, if you can't be there here with us live, of course you can watch it on YouTube. You can check it out on our Facebook page. In our weekly newsletter that goes out, we'll have reminders for the upcoming events. And don't forget, you can submit questions ahead of time. So if there's a topic that looks interesting to you, you've always wondered about, go ahead and ask a question. And while you're here asking a question, maybe there's a topic that you don't see listed in the schedule that you'd like Wayne or us here at KORG SoundTree to address, and we'll be happy to work that in. So we'll close it out by thanking everybody for joining us now. And when you rewatch, I know you're going to enjoy this. So Wayne Spletstoza, ladies and gentlemen, brilliant, wonderful teacher, great friend, and it's a pleasure to have you hosting these Wednesdays with Wayne events. We look forward to many more. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for watching SoundTree TV.